Some people say, create a product and the buyers will come. And to this day, many creative business owners still have this mentality. When they see no one buying their products, they end up disappointed and blame the product or the competition when in fact, they probably have a very good product and have a completely different reason why it didn't sell. We no longer live in a world where we are just here to create products and automatically have buyers. In fact, we now have to fight for people's attention in a world where billions of different types of content are published every single day. So how then do we make sure that our products are being seen? Well, buckle up, my friend, because in this episode, we'll be talking about the missing piece in your marketing strategy and the number one reason why you're not making any sales.
Hey there! I'm Maida Leon, and my mission is to help creatives like you translate what you love to do into a highly profitable income. I'm a mom of 3 who began as a lettering artist and grew it into a 6-figure business. If I made it possible, so can you. Every week, we'll dive deep into topics like building your confidence, getting comfortable talking about money, and nurturing your passion while juggling life and family. So if you're an ambitious creative who wants to craft the life you love, get cozy, feel at home, and listen to the Confident Creator Show.
Hey creators, you're listening to episode number 25. Do you remember the day you decided you wanted to start your creative business? How did you feel? Were you excited and eager to get it off the ground, or were you scared about whether you'll make it or not? You might have done all the work you needed to do, like set up your social media or perhaps even a website. And once you started sharing your work, you thought it's a great idea to sell something and make money from your creative work. So, you started setting up your shop and created products you wanted to sell. You launched it on your social media channels, your website, your shop, hoping for a few sales. But then, nothing. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months without making any sale. You get disappointed at all the business gurus who told you how easy it was and how much money you'll be making when you start your own business. And then you wonder, is there something wrong with my product? Was it too expensive? Or you may have even thought of giving up because you thought it isn't working at all. That's a typical story I have seen and observed online and with many creatives. In fact, that's also my own story. It's very common, especially if you're just starting out. It's a crucial part of learning. And in today's episode, I'll share with you the number one thing you need to do first before starting to sell anything. But you have to remember that while it's easier to sell these days because we have a wider reach, thanks to the internet, it's also way more difficult because more and more businesses are fighting for people's attention. Nowadays, you can't just post something on social media and expect tons of likes and comments and, of course, sales. Sure, it might have worked in the early days of Instagram, but now you're competing against 95 million photos and videos being posted every single day on the platform. And that's just Instagram. Don't forget about Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and more. We have so many different platforms and millions of people you can sell to. So what could be the missing piece to your marketing strategy? Are you ready for it? It's your audience. The number one reason why you aren't making any sales is because you don't have an audience to sell your product, especially if you have just started with your business. And when I say an audience, I'm talking about a qualified audience that loves what you do. Not just your whole extended family and high school friends, although their support is important too. This is the reason why you should not get in a hurry selling your work immediately. You need to take time to build your following and get your audience to know, like, and trust you before they buy from you. How can you build an audience, you might ask? There are many ways to do that these days because we have a lot of different options available, such as 1. Social media platforms. I personally built my lettering audience on Instagram because I didn't have any intention to make money from it at the beginning. I was constantly sharing daily content during Alphonse's nap time, and it turned out to be something that people resonated with and enjoyed seeing every day. That was the first time I realized what type of content my audience loved consuming, and back then, it was way easier to connect with people because the platform was simple and it's still chronological, my friends. We see every single post from every person we follow. When the algorithm changed, of course, it became a lot more difficult to reach our audience. But eventually, instead of fighting with it, most of us adapted and learned to work with the algorithm. This, my friends, is what I often tell my students and clients. Work with what you can control. Algorithms are not part of our systems. It's owned by the platforms we use to get our contents and products seen. So stop complaining about it and learn how you can make things work to your advantage. That goes with the next platform you can use, Facebook. People have created pages to show their work and reach thousands or even millions of people. Then, there are Facebook groups where you can create deeper and meaningful connections with your target audience. There are other platforms too, like YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and the most recent one is Clubhouse. I don't know for sure if it's going to be around for long, but so far it's doing so well, and the nature of how it delivers content is really interesting. If you're already there, let's follow each other. I'm Myedeleon, by the way, Myedeleon on Clubhouse. Shameless plug, everybody. All right, I know there's a lot of social media platforms out there and it can get overwhelming. And here's my advice. Start by just focusing on one. It's a lot easier to get followers on other platforms when you have built a loyal following on one of them. Okay, the next thing you can do to get more audience is blogs. You can also build an audience through blogging, and while this form of audience building relies heavily on writing, it's still as effective. Most business owners say blogging is dead, but really, it's only dead if you think it is. There are still many successful business owners using blogs to get their audience engaged, and it's not going away anytime soon. So if you prefer this method and people have told you not to because there will be no one to read it, just go ahead and do it. Sometimes it is better to listen to your gut and trust yourself more than what other people say. The third one, and probably the most successful audience building method for me, is having an email list. A few hours before recording this post, I just saw another friend posted about her Facebook page getting shut down without notice, and she's been trying to reactivate her account for days. What I'm trying to say is, while social media platforms are great for starting out, you need to understand that it's not ours. So even if we build a following on these platforms, don't ever forget to get your followers and customers to your email list. I have talked about this on episode number 15, so if you want to know more about getting started on building your list, feel free to listen to it. My email list is an important asset in my business. It's something I have full control of and no one can take it away from me. These are the 3 methods I have personally used in building my audience over the last couple of years. Now, while there are many social media platforms and other methods available for us, there's another component you need in order to build an audience, and it's just as important: your content. You cannot build an audience if you don't have anything to share with them. And creating content is probably one of the most exciting and sometimes could become the most exhausting part of getting into business. But it's crucial if you want to build your brand and get your business sustainable for the long haul. Another tricky part: do not get obsessed with the numbers. Building a solid, loyal following that eventually becomes your community is way more important than just the numbers. People get obsessed with numbers on social media, and while it's helpful, you need to remember that the quality of followers you have is way more important than the vanity metrics. In 2012, I met someone online who had over 50,000 followers on Instagram, and considering that year, getting that many followers on the platform is amazing. So I reached out to them to get one of their products. We got to talk a little bit about the business, and they shared how they're not making a lot of sales from it. Meanwhile, I have less than 2,000 followers on Instagram at the time, and I was still making regular monthly sales from my scrapbook designs. The problem? They have a lot of followers and most of them admire their work, but they are not the people who want to buy their products. If we obsess too much on getting our followers up, chances are we'll forget the reasons why we went to social media in the first place. To reach our target audience, the people who need our products. Don't forget that. And just as it is important to build your audience, it's also important that your content serves the right people. Why? So you can slowly introduce them to you, your brand, your work, and get them to know why you're in it and how you can help them with your products. It takes time for people to warm up to you, so if you're getting the wrong people, it might take an even longer time, or probably they won't even bother. Just let that sink in for a moment. Now, I'm not saying that having a higher number is bad. All I'm saying is, do not focus on just the numbers. If you can get more of your target audience, all the better. Alright, now that I have shared the 3 ways I've used to build my audience, and we briefly talked about content and why it's important to not just focus on the numbers, but the quality of people who are following you, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode. I'm not forgetting about that. I just talk too much sometimes. So, why is it important to build an audience? I may have probably mentioned it a couple of times in this episode, but let me say that one more time for the people in the back. We build an audience so we can sell our products. But don't get me wrong here. There are many reasons why people buy, and it's not just because they are in our circle or in our community. There are so many other different factors. Being in our community or our circle is just the first step. We attract people, we build a following, our inner circle, our community, no matter what you want to call it, for one reason. So we can deliver content that is relevant to them, and at the same time, content that is aligned with our goals, the sales. And we do this because of the following reasons. Number 1, so you can establish yourself as the expert. Your audience needs to know that you're the best at what you do, even though you might be thinking you're not. Trust me, that's where I was with lettering. And this might even be harder to imagine if you're just starting out, but do not fret. Establishing yourself as the expert takes time. Show up and let people join you in your journey from when you were just starting out, when you've made great progress and improvement, and as you grow to become the creative entrepreneur that you want to be. And during those times, many of them will become closer to you. They'll become more aware of your story and how you started out. Following you then becomes more meaningful, especially if what you're continuously giving is relevant to them. You don't need to be a guru to consider yourself an expert. Most of the time, you just need to know more than the average person in a room. If you have a knowledge or skills that other people don't, they'll consider you as the go-to person to help them. And sharing more useful content puts you at the top of their minds. The very first opportunity that came my way was because I was constantly sharing work that people loved at first. It was lettering, but unlike what the pros were doing at the time, mine were all just outlines because I barely know anything about embellishing. Because I was sharing what I know, my client had an idea for a product that might fit the kind of work I was doing. Most people think they need to do what everyone else does because they've seen how things worked out for them. They will copy their styles, their strategies, and then later on realized things are not working out for them the way they thought. And the reason is because they're chasing someone else's dreams, doing what other people do because they're successful, or perhaps they're getting more traction or following is not going to give you the same result. But it definitely will cause you a lot of headache, confusion, and disappointment. The first thing you need to do is to just do what you love, enjoy the process, and show up for the people who care about your work. And watch how things will unfold for you. Be patient because it may take time, and it's usually what's causing the most frustration. Keep your eye on the prize and don't lose momentum, and most importantly, don't give up. Sometimes we're just a few inches away from winning, and when we stop, we lose everything. No one is born an expert. We become experts because we strive to continuously do and improve ourselves, our work, and our business. Moving on to reason number 2, you'll be able to make better products. Some people say create a product and the buyers will come. Well, that might have been the case prior to the internet and social media. But frankly, growing up in a family bakery business, that wasn't even the case. Even in the late 90s, when we were expanding our bakery business, my parents would scout location and they'd do buy one, take one promo on the launch day of our bakery. Days before we open, I remember writing hundreds of flyers that says, buy one, take one. And then, we distribute those flyers throughout the entire neighborhood as far as we can reach. And tell people that if they know more people, to pass on the word so that they too can take advantage of the promo come opening day. That's how we marketed our small business back in the day. We created our product, but we did not wait for the buyers to come. We took the initiative to reach out to them so they'll know about our business. Now, going back to our present day marketing, creating a product before you have an audience can be extra challenging because there's just so many businesses fighting for people's attention. Even when setting up a brick and mortar business, when business owners scout for locations, they look for what's already there or what's currently being offered in the area. They think about what else do the people in that location need. From research and understanding the target market, they're able to identify whether their business is a good fit for the location or not. In the same manner, in the online world, we need an audience for the kind of work that we do, but not just any audience. We need people who will buy your products, and you can only do that by doing your own research and understanding who your audience are. What are they interested in? Why did they follow you for? Are they asking you questions? Engage with them and you'll discover what they truly need. Do not make the mistake of creating a product simply because you think it's what your audience wants. You can think of the best product for your customers, but that may still become the product that they don't want to buy. When you have an audience who tells you exactly what they need, you can create a product that's going to be so much easier to sell. That is the case with my Mastering Hand Lettering course. Even before creating it, people have started showing their interest to learn how I do it. I keep getting questions like whether I'd be doing a workshop in other countries, which unfortunately I couldn't offer. Yet, there was this big opportunity right in front of me, and I decided to take it and run with it. I created the course and made 6 figures when I launched it the first time. So always pay attention to what your people are telling you. All right, reason number 3. Having an audience helps you reduce cost. If your question is, can you still sell without an existing audience? Well, the answer to that is yes, it's still possible, and we're not totally eliminating that. But let me tell you this, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Because if you don't have an audience, you're going to buy an audience from someone or somewhere else. You'll either pay influencers to help promote your products or Pay for advertising to get your product seen by thousands or even millions of people. Now, if you already have an existing audience and you still want to use paid ads to get more views, your cost will most likely be way less because it's going to be a lot easier to target people who are already familiar with your work and your brand. Targeting a cold audience is usually more expensive because it takes time for them to warm up to your brand. Nevertheless, it is indeed possible to make sales with ads. If you have the budget to spend, by all means, do it. I personally did it when I helped my daughters sell plants during lockdown. Since I had the knowledge to do Facebook ads and they have a very new business without an audience, I used the platform to purchase ads to reach our target audience, and it worked out great for us. However, if you're new and you aren't sure on the direction to take your business yet, or you don't want to spend on advertising early, I highly recommend you go with the old-fashioned way of growing your audience organically so you can develop your skills and figure out how you're going to grow your business. Time will allow you to learn things and discover what's the best way for you to run it successfully. You'll also meet many people along the way and get to know more about your audience. So now that we have these 3 reasons, do you see the bottom line of everything? It's still all about the audience. Whether you build your audience organically through weeks and months or even years of content or spend money on advertising, they are the key to selling successfully. And speaking of selling, if you want to learn more about selling your creative work and growing your business, I have a free guide for you. The 5 easy ways to sell your creative work and grow your business. Simply go to mydeleon.com/sell to download it. All right, that's it for another episode, and I hope this brought you some light and got you flowing with ideas and that it helped you understand the importance of audience building. And once again, I want to remind you, more than the numbers, you need to focus on engaging your audience. If you have hundreds of thousands of followers but none of them are responding to your posts or buying your products, that's worth nothing. Engaging your audience is a whole other episode though, so for now, I'm going to stop and wrap this up. If you love this episode, please do share it with your creative friends and tag me on Instagram at mydeleon. You'll also find the episode show notes at mydeleon.com/25. Likewise, please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes because your reviews help us keep the podcast going and we're gearing up for more juicy episodes in the coming weeks. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai.